So good morning. I'm Kim Mosley, President of the Los Altos Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for coming to join us this morning. We typically start with introductions, and so I'll just kind of go through the list here if you don't mind introducing yourself and your business so that our speaker has an idea of who's in the audience. We also record the session so that our members and community members have access to watch the video at a later time if this is not a convenient time for them to join this morning. So let's be aware of that. Scott Hunter.
You're muted. I do actually know how Zoom works. Good morning, Scott Hunter, Executive Director of the Los Altos Village Association.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning. Lars Smith.
Hi, I'm Lars Smith. I own State of Mind Public House and Pizzeria here in Los Altos and 2 other locations, and as well as I'm a board chair for the Chamber of Commerce this year.
Norma.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Norma Gutierrez.
Felipe.
My husband Felipe.
From Pompeii.
From Pompeii.
Pompeii Restaurant in Los Altos.
Mm-hmm.
And then next I have Abby.
Good morning and
Hello, Abby.
welcome to our city. Hi guys. Ashante Hotel, Campaign 1 May. Hi.
Good morning, Abby. Thank you. Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer from Armadillo Willie's.
And I have Shannon.
Hi, I'm Shannon Geary. I work with Los Altos Community Investments, and I oversee State Street Market, which has a number of different restaurant tenants.
And then I see office admin. I'm sorry, you don't know your first name.
Yes, it's Meg Jacoby, and I'm the office manager for the Waldorf School in Los Altos Hills.
Very nice. Welcome. Thank you. Marie.
Good morning, everyone. Marie Young, an individual member of the chamber. And Kim, I just need to let you know that I have a Zoom at 10 o'clock. So if I leave a few minutes early, it's not anything to do with Tania or the program. It's because I have this other commitment.
Perfect. Thank you, Marie. Thanks for joining. Anthony.
Hey everyone, Anthony Carnesecca, assistant to the city manager, City of Los Altos.
Do a natural job.
Jenny. Jenny Lear.
Hi, Jenny Lear, associate member of the chamber. Thank you for this program.
Thank you for joining us. And Christina.
Hi there, I'm Christina. I'm managing editor of the Los Altos Town Crier.
Thank you, Christina. And Scott, it looks like your hand is raised.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was remiss in not mentioning that to my left over here is Liz Williams, who is our marketing and event coordinator, who is also sitting in on this.
Perfect. Thank you, Scott. Welcome, Liz. All right, so without further ado, I'd ask you to introduce yourself as well, but this is Tania Katbi from the City of Los Altos, Management Analyst and Sustainability Division Leader. We have a new sustainability and single-use plastic foodware ordinance that has come forward and been passed by the City Council. And so I thought it would be important for us to provide a forum here this morning for Tania to present details about that and for our restaurateurs and chamber members to be able to ask questions and share their concerns related to the ordinance. So Tania, I'll hand things over to you.
Great, thank you. Thanks for everyone coming here today to learn more about the ordinance. I know you all are very busy, so I will try to do my best to explain it, and feel free to ask questions and reach out to me whenever if you need more information. But I've been with the city for a little over 2 years, and I'm in the Sustainability Division of the Development Services Department, and I lead the implementation of sustainable policies and programs, including the city's Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, which is where this policy comes from. That was adopted in 2022 by the council, and I did lead the development of the single-use plastic foodware ordinance. And with that, I'll just dive into it with my presentation. Let's see, am I able to share?
You should be able to. Let me know if you have any trouble.
All right. So let's jump into it. So today's agenda, I'll talk about the purpose of the ordinance, who it applies to, what the new requirements are, and additional resources for businesses that this applies to.
Tanya, can you shift it out of the notes mode into just the
Mm.
the full screen?
Okay, in notes mode, okay. How about now?
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we all know a lot about plastic pollution. There's a lot of information out there, and we rely on single-use plastic items like utensils and coffee cups and takeout containers daily. It's very convenient, but this convenience comes at a steep environmental cost. These items require significant resources to produce, and they're used briefly, and they're often discarded within minutes, and they end up polluting our landfills, our natural environment, and our streams, lakes, and oceans. Plastic doesn't biodegrade, so it remains in the environment indefinitely. And as we may or may not know, due to global shifts in recycling, such as the China sword, recycling isn't the complete solution that we once thought it was. So we are, significantly limited in our process of plastic processing and recycling. And in Los Altos, a large amount of waste goes to landfill, primarily from single-use foodware and accessories. So the goal of this ordinance is to reduce the prevalence of these disposable items in our city and reduce plastic pollution. So there's been a regional effort on these ordinances to reduce plastic. The County of San Mateo actually has a countywide ordinance for their takeout requirements, which we have essentially mirrored our ordinance with. Santa Clara County, there's Cupertino, Mountain View, and some others are currently in the process of developing their ordinances as well. And there's dozens more across the Bay Area and the state that are some version of this plastic reduction measure. So who does this ordinance apply to? It's going to apply to restaurants, fast casual restaurants, traditional restaurants, caterers, cafeterias, coffee shops, grocery stores. So any food buffets such as like Whole Foods, delicatessens, and mobile food providers, and any temporary food providers that conduct business in the city. The items that are captured in this ordinance are, like I said, single-use plastic foodware and accessories, so cups, plates, to-go containers, cutlery, stir sticks, and more. Foodware in the ordinance is defined as any material that has food contacts that are for serving, distributing, holding, packaging, transporting prepared food. And this includes accessories. So what are the new requirements? And we're terming this as to-go food in the traditional sense, but also, like I said, at delicatessens in a grocery store and in other non-traditional ways. So food prepared on site for takeout orders can only be served in natural fiber-based foodware. such as paper, wood, bamboo, aluminum foil, glass, and those other recyclable materials are also allowed. Compostable and traditional plastic are not allowed. And this will be effective June 10th, 2025. So in addition to that, there is AB 1276, which is accessories upon request, which is currently something already in place and adopted by council, I believe, in 2023. So this just means that businesses are still required to ask customers if they need the utensils and which utensils and accessories they need. So in addition to the fiberware, we still need to keep asking if accessories are needed and which ones are needed. So I just wanted to note on compostable plastics, because I know this has been confusing throughout this process, is so compostable plastics are the ones that look like plastic, they feel like plastic, they're harder. And so although these are compostable in certain standards, they are not compostable here in California and in our composting facilities. So therefore, they are not actually accepted in our compost facility. And although the hauler might take it, the compost facility will end up throwing it out into the landfill, which ends up defeating the purpose and contributing to the problem which we're trying to fix. So unfortunately, we are not allowing those in this new ordinance anymore. So they must be fiber-based compostable, and we can talk about that a little more later. So I just wanted to make sure to clarify that and kind of share why we're not allowing those in this new ordinance. So new requirements for dine-in. So the new ordinance will require all food establishments that provide dine-in service indoors or outdoors, so on-site dining, to provide reusable foodware. Although single-use fiberware is better than plastic, it still requires significant resources to create these single-use products, whether they're plastic or compostable or fiberware. So by transitioning to reusable foodware, wherever practical, we can further reduce waste and conserve natural resources. And this would be effective December 10th, 2025. A little more about these requirements. So condiments should be served in reusable containers, but single-use compostable fiber-based straws, napkins, and paper liners, foil are still allowed for dine-in items. Reusable foodware is usually made out of ceramics, metal, etc. So I just wanted to share a little bit more about reusables and how they can benefit financially, how they can benefit business financially. So there is an organization called Rethink Disposable, and they've done dozens and dozens of studies on the effects of reusables. And this is one study they conducted on a coffee shop called the Conservatory for Coffee Tea. And it's in Culver City, California, and they serve hot and cold drinks and some food. Essentially, they did a study on plastic cups, plastic forks, knives, and a bunch of other items. And Rethink Disposable recommended that they switch to reusables for those items. And by implementing those recommendations, the conservatory prevented over 200,000 disposables from going to landfill or into our environment. And they saved about $7,000 per year. And this is after the initial costs of buying the reusable and such. So there are plenty of these studies on Rethink Disposable's website in case you're interested in looking at that in more detail, and the link is here. So as I mentioned, reusables have a bunch of benefits. I won't go over this in too much detail, but like I mentioned, cost, it can reduce waste. Some of these businesses said it helped with efficiency, and it can do things like enhance your brand image, project a sense of responsible and eco-friendly business efforts. In addition to the single-use plastic foodware ordinance, the council also adopted new requirements for carryout bags. So the governor signed a new law, SB 1053, which requires all businesses to switch to either paper or reusable bags. So thin or thick types of plastic bags are no longer allowed. So what that means for businesses is that, including food establishments, is that anything that's provided for to go has to be 50-cent post-consumer recycled material and or reusable. And the council also decided that each bag must be charged a minimum of 25 cents going forward. And this will also be effect on June 10th in conjunction with the new takeout requirements. So in order to gear up to take this ordinance to council, staff did a lot of outreach and engagement. We tabled at the farmers markets, we did email campaigns, we created a city webpage with all the informational materials, and we hosted informational sessions for businesses. We posted it in our newsletters, and we had a staff go out and do door-to-door outreach to every single business and providing a packet with all this information and getting feedback from all the businesses. All those resources can be found on our webpage. And there is a section of the webpage that I wanted to point out here where you can find the summary sheet, the fact sheet, a purchasing guide, which I'll discuss more in a second, and an ordinance info packet that has a lot of good information in there as well. And that is what staff handed out to each of the businesses in the summer. So on the website, there's a purchasing guide that covers a variety of product types, how much they cost, and where to buy them. This is managed by the County of San Mateo. The County of San Mateo is a dedicated person to the single-use plastic foodware ordinance, and they have okayed it for other cities to use this, since we're all kind of working together in this regional effort. And they are updating this regularly and it's an extensive list. And if you see any issues with it, feel free to message me and I can contact the county and let them know if something's not up to date. But they do regularly update this and are monitoring it because they want it to be a tool that businesses can go to and make it easier for them. They also have discounts on there. I know sometimes it says San Mateo County, so it could be just for San Mateo County, but it could apply and to other cities. And that stuff is going to be updated daily, regularly. If there is anything on this page that you cannot find, or that you are working with your supplier and they do not have, please contact us and we can work with you on that to figure out a solution, or that item, we can do a temporary exemption for that item if we can't find a solution or a better alternative for that. And for any more questions or information, like I said, you can feel free to visit the website, or you can email me at sustainability@losaltosca.gov, or Anthony. I know Anthony said that he is also around to help. So yeah, we really want you to reach out to us and let us know, where you're struggling, where you need more support. And we're going to try to help you to get resources. And if you need help just understanding the ordinance or anything at all, that's what we're here for. And that concludes my presentation. So yeah, any questions?
Thank you, Tanya. You had mentioned a video as well. Can you provide the link to that in the chat? Is that possible?
Yes, I can.
And the video basically goes through this presentation, or?
Yeah, it's a very similar presentation. It was before it was adopted by council, so there might be a little differences, but yes, it goes over the same information.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me go back to my gallery here. All right, so I see one hand here. Shannon.
Hello. I have two questions. Thank you, Tanya, for the presentation. Definitely going to take a closer look at the city website for more details there. Two questions. The first one is I'm going to take a closer look at what materials are allowed for the to-go options, but I'm understanding you to say they're mostly fiber-based, so compostable. What options do they suggest for restaurants that offer really wet products, like things like soup, ramen? These things soak through cardboard or paper. So are there recommendations for specifically for products that might not work well, like that usually they've been serving basically in plastic, that because it's so liquidy? Any
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
So there are options in that foodware guide for soups, and those will be PLA lined, which we're allowing. So it will have a little bit of a mix of a bioplastic in there to help with that. And we're allowing that right now because we know that's the best option. But they are listed in that purchasing guide. And also you can reach out to your current supplier and just tell them what you're looking for, and they hopefully will be able to provide some options as well.
What did you say the lining is called?
It's called PLA lining.
PLA lining. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my other question is once restaurants are like in conformity with the ordinance, has the city thought about maybe creating some kind of program by which like a restaurant will get like a sticker or something that we could put in the window to say like, we are a sustainable business? I'm just trying to think of from a marketing perspective. Like, I think this community does care about the environment and likes to frequent businesses that they know have sustainable practices. And if we're going through the cost and the effort to make it happen, I feel like it'd be nice to also be able to toot our horn a little bit and say like, we're doing this. And you might have a to-go situation that is different and new and might require the community to adjust as well. But hey, look, we're doing this because we're adopting these sustainable practices. I wonder if you guys have thought about that side of it.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. It's definitely a great idea, and I think it's something we could discuss more. It would require, Anthony and our PIO and more discussions internally, but I definitely think it's a great idea that we can look into more.
Great, thank you.
Shannon, I just wanted to say I think that's a great idea. So on behalf of the city.
Thanks, Anthony.
Kim?
Abby?
Yeah, Tania, hi. You had a great screen that showed what can be used, and I think that it is so simple. Unfortunately, a lot of times these things get complicated getting people to look at it. Staff has been great at coming by. They came by and did a terrific presentation one-on-one with what we could put in garbage cans. I think that if there's any way you could pull up that screen, that it was fairly early in your presentation. I wanted to take a picture of it, blow it up, and pound on my crew to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to. Wondered if you could re-show it.
Sure, yeah, and I can definitely send you
Yes. Perfect.
the direct.
Pardon the camera. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. And if you can put your email in the chat, I can send you it directly if that's helpful as well.
The link to the sourcing of materials from San Mateo County might be helpful as well, Tania. And Lars.
Hey, I just want to say, I obviously support the sustainability efforts, and it's really been a core of what we do, but I am concerned by the lack of collaboration with the restaurants. And I'm hearing you say you've reached out. I know I spoke to somebody a couple of years ago about this. It seems a lot is falling here on the restaurants, and I understand with the compostable plastics and things, but you're asking us to use things that are not readily available for distributors. I have 3 distributors that I can get paper goods through. Not a single one carries the fiberware portion cups, sauce cups. There is some stuff available, but I have some pretty serious concerns about the feasibility of getting this through and the impact that it's going to have on the restaurants. And it just concerns me that it's here. You guys have to do this, and it's not readily available. It's great that you can give me all the resources of where I can order online and through the county of San Mateo. But that doesn't really cut it for most restaurants who have broadline distributors order. They need things when they need them. I don't have a lot of dry storage space here, and a lot of other ones do. Ordering these things online is just absolutely nuts to expect of us. I want to be as sustainable as possible. But I do have some concerns about whether this is going to be possible. And also the 25 cents per bag for takeout is a little crazy. So like, DoorDash driver comes in and needs a bag. I got to figure out how to charge the DoorDash driver 25%, or, on a Friday night, we have 300 people in here and I got to figure out who needs a bag and who doesn't need a bag. I just don't think that this program is set up for success. I really don't think it is. I support all of its goals, but I do think that this is a great idea that is not being implemented in any way that is going to lead to success.
Yeah, thanks for your feedback. I hear a lot of what you're saying. I think if we would need to sit down, one-on-ones and maybe talk about what it sounds like you're having trouble with one item. Is that correct?
As of now, there's dressing cups. We have 1 ounce cheese portion cups, cold cups. I know Los Altos has an open carry alcohol policy around, so we use compostable cups for to-go beers for events and things like that. Good luck trying to pour a beer in a fiberware cup. It's going to be all foam. Soda can be the same thing if it's not the right temperature. There's a whole bevy of issues here that could rise up, and I understand that some of this stuff, from your guys' point of view, exists on paper, right? I can go look up that these things, somebody makes them somewhere. Does not mean I have access.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely would want to hear more of what you're saying and look into it more. And if, like I said, if there's something specific that you can't get, then we can talk about that more. Also, I think there, we're, as I mentioned, there's a whole regional movement towards this. So a lot of cities have had and been doing this for a long time. So it's kind of like where this is going. And I think that it's, we want to work with you and not just be like, you have to do this, which is why we did the extensive outreach during the summer. And we had a dedicated staff person going out to the businesses. But I think this is something.
They never came here or never talked to any of the owners here, and we're one of the busiest core restaurants in the downtown corridor, so that's a bit concerning.
Yeah, I was not aware of that, but it's definitely something you and I can talk about more. And as far as the plastic bags, that is a state policy. So we don't, like, right now, there should be a charge of 10%, 10 cents. That has been going on for many years. That's at the state level. And so the council decided they want it to be a higher
For
fee.
plastic?
For bags, yeah. There's a charge for 10 cents. And so the council's applying that to businesses now. So retail establishments have been doing this for many, many years. And so it's definitely something that is also in the works and is at the state level. But again, definitely would be happy to sit down with you and talk a little more.
Yeah, it's easy to put a bunch of requirements on the restaurants, but it also doesn't seem like it's a real holistic policy talking about where the trash goes. And I understand the problems with PLAs and all that, but this is going to create a lot of problems. And I know that some people couldn't be here, but there was at least 3 or 4 other restaurants that were blindsided by this too. That didn't really seem that there was any outreach, didn't know about it until Larry Chu at Chef Chu's kind of brought it up to a whole restaurant group we had. And so it does not seem that your summer outreach reached most of the restaurants.
Yeah, Abby, I'm going to second that. When I mentioned that the only communication we've had has been about garbage, was not about the sustainability of products. Lars, thank you for stepping up. Everything you said is so accurate, so true. And I thought, Tanya, initially that restaurants were excluded from the fee for bags. So would you please look into when restaurants got included in that? Because none of us, to my knowledge, have been charging for bags. So that would be helpful to us, and any additional help you can give us.
Yeah, that was decided with the new updates in the bag ordinance. And that was decided in December when we took that to council.
Yeah, that's
So it's
Los Altos, but
a new,
Tanya, sorry to be speaking over you. Los Altos has traditionally in our, we're an educated group of people who most definitely want to save this planet if we can. Sometimes I think we feel like it's an uphill battle because every one of these things has consequences. That's the reason they weren't done for centuries. So I think that for the city to make that decision, I'm asking you if that is a state decision that restaurants charge for bags. So I'm just asking you to look at that, because if not, maybe some of us will have to come before city council and say, just as Lars pointed out, is DoorDash, are those guys going to carry quarters? I mean, come on. This is crazy.
Is it for any bag, Tanya? Because I wasn't aware of that either, plastic or like compostable plastic or paper bag?
We are not using any plastic bags, I guess, in Los Altos downtown, anywhere in the restaurants, as far as my knowledge concerned. I guess this is for the paper bags, what we give the food in.
there are still some restaurants that provide plastic bags, and that is correct. They've been exempt from the state law, and Los Altos is reaching beyond the state law to include restaurants because takeout and because there is a lot of takeout going on, there's a lot of bags being provided. So that was what the new requirements are proposed and were accepted. So yes, that's correct. It is including restaurants now.
But just for plastic bags or for paper bags?
Plastic bags are no longer allowed. It's only
Oh, okay.
paper or reusable. Yeah. So
So
it'll be
the paper
charged
bags
for
are the 10-cent charge.
So right now, retail establishments are allowed to provide thick plastic bags, and yes, the minimum charge is 10 cents. But the new requirements are taking away any plastic bags, thick or thin, and they're saying that both retail and food establishments have to provide paper or reusable, and the charge has to be 25 cents, not 10 cents, 25 cents. Hopefully that helps clarify a little.
Norma. Norma, you're muted, hon.
I have a question. Can the 20 cents be included in the food price, or it has to be like separate charge?
I don't think that there is a prescriptive way of charging that. I think that's up to the restaurants to decide how they want to use that fee or charge that fee.
Tanya, is there any accountability of how many bags? I mean, the one thing about a retail establishment, or they can count, and I think they've had to count how many bags they sell as a separate item. Could you check that for us? Along with, again, I keep pushing the thing that if this is just a Los Altos ordinance, Kim, I think we need to get the restaurants together and talk about stepping before the council, because going beyond state law in a time of change doesn't make this sustainable,
And
for anyone.
just a question, how about if restaurant is ready to bear the cost of the bag in terms of giving the delivery? Is it okay, or we have to show that we charge the customer for the bag?
Yeah, it's a preventative measure to, encourage the customer to think about the cost of, you know, creating this resource and their bag. That was not specifically discussed at the council meeting. And it'd be something that I would have to um, bring back internally and see if that is okay.
Because there is a difference when a customer is going to a retail store, he's prepared, and he's physically going there and purchasing the stuff. In that he may carry a bag with him from home. But when he's ordering from the restaurants, most of the time it is happening through a third party app or through the phone line. They are not physically coming over there to pick up the food till the food is getting ready. So this makes it kind of very uncomfortable and illogical, to wait till the time customer is coming, bringing his own bag, and then shifting all the food in their bag and handing over to them, to discourage them to buy stuff in a paper bag or a plastic bag.
Yeah, I
Right.
would agree,
Right.
Manish. It sounds it's a completely different scenario, right? In a retail grocery store, whatever, it's a different situation. You can bring your own bag. By the time you're picking up takeout, the takeout is prepared and is bagged and ready to go. So it seems
Yeah, and restaurants don't have that much space to keep the order in a sense, for multiple customers without their bags. It's going to make a lot of hassle for us to, manage the orders in that case.
Mhm.
And it's not sanitary to bring someone's personal bag into a kitchen. So I think we would be against public health rules. So I'm also concerned.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think these are all good points that, you know, I would have to do more research on. I always bring my bag when I get takeout, and it's never usually an issue. But I can see how on the operation side that there's more to think about. So it's definitely you know, I hear all your points and your feedback.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
In that light, Tanya, I'm just wondering, so I'm not familiar. Were you the person who went to visit each business, or was there someone else that was sharing information and gathering feedback through this process?
It was someone else that we had going out there.
Who's no longer on staff, or
No,
who's
it was a temporary staff member that it was one of our summer interns, but they were just dedicated to going out and they had a list of all the restaurants they were visiting and notes and um yeah, they did their very best to try to get to every single restaurant or as many restaurants as they can.
okay? And I think, the feedback that I have heard from many restaurants is more that information was shared about what the ordinance is, but not really any sort of collaboration from the side of the city to say, hey, what do you think? How is this going to work for you? How can we improve the process to really collaborate together? And I think that I think is part of the frustration of one-way communication, where the information about the ordinance has come from the city, but not really partnering together. If I'm speaking
Yes.
correctly.
Yeah, so we sent out emails and we asked for feedback in multiple emails. We asked for feedback on our city website. We asked for feedback in the informational sessions that we hosted. We asked for feedback in our newsletters and in the door-to-door outreach. We provided our email asking for feedback as well. So we really did try to get the feedback from the community in all of those settings. We tabled at the farmers market asking for community feedback. So we did really try. We spent months of just outreach and engagement trying to collect feedback. And so we did try. We did want to collaborate. We did want to hear the feedback. We created all those resources and tried to make it really easy for businesses as much as we could.
Tanya, we really appreciate that you guys did the best from your sides. But don't you think that we are the major stakeholders and we should be approached directly rather than all these platforms you mentioned that you did the outreach because we were not aware of all these things. We kind of busy in our stuff and we never had anybody coming to us and discussing all these things in length.
Yeah, definitely. That was our goal, was to try to reach everyone. And when we visited the businesses, we did, ask to speak to a decision maker or ask that these documents got handed to a decision maker if they were not there on site. If you could provide examples of better ways we could have done that, I definitely would appreciate that feedback and take it in the future. Because I feel like we really did try in so many different avenues to reach everyone. We also sent the information to the Chamber of Commerce, and I worked with Anthony to get the information out. So if you have any examples, I would definitely love to hear how we could do better in those outreach engagement efforts.
I think sessions like this, Tanya, are really important where we can, we can speak directly and get the feedback from the restaurants. So I think having sessions like this prior to the implementation of the ordinance so that there can be modifications that are made to just like practical implementation before it's implemented. Because there are a number of things that I think people were unaware of. What changes when you look at the San Mateo ordinances or the ordinance here in Los Altos? Can you explain any modifications that were made in the process from what you had originally proposed to what was finally approved based on restaurant feedback?
So a lot of the feedback we heard were concerns about, the materials that, the availability of materials. And so in our ordinance, we do have a section in there that states that exemptions can be made. So we did add that in there. And that's, that goes along with the restaurants reaching out to us and us talking one-on-one to see where there needs to be more support or more time or anything like that.
I'm wondering too, I know, Lars had mentioned that there are really 3 primary suppliers that he works with, for his weekly orders. Is there an effort on someone's part to try to get these products to be available through those suppliers so that it makes the process more simple for our restaurateurs?
I'm not really sure, like, you mean someone that's working directly with suppliers from the city to like engage them? At the City of Los Altos, unfortunately, we don't have staff capacity for that. But I think the overall goal of this ordinance is to, show that there is demand for these products and that we want them to be more readily available. And that has been happening. Like with San Mateo, I think they adopted this 2 or 3 years ago, and we've seen significant increase in compostable items. Starbucks, for example, is now offering their fiber-based compostable cups. And that is largely in part due to a lot of these ordinances and the regional efforts that cities and businesses are doing. So I don't know if there's someone directly working with suppliers, but I think suppliers are aware that this is becoming more and more in demand, these types of materials and products.
I think that effort would be really appreciated. I think, putting the onus on the restaurant to each individual restaurant to try to get the supplier to do that probably doesn't make sense, but if there's a representative from the city, that could work. If those are the products that are going to be required, to make sure that they are available through the standard suppliers, I think is really important.
Yeah, that's great feedback.
And there's a huge shift to PLAs in the last 10 or 15 years, which I understand the complexities with that, though I do believe a holistic approach where approaching recyclers and checking the entire system and how that would work together would be much more valuable than putting the onus on the end users. That's a larger conversation we probably don't have time for today. But I really think, PLAs, no problem. I can get PLA sauce cups, portion cups, all that stuff, because there was a big push with that regionally. I don't know, maybe more than 10 years ago at this point, with people requiring that. But this, I was really surprised to see fiberware, because just from what I see, with bowls, with takeout containers, craft containers, that's really not an issue. 100% recyclable bags. I just double checked all my bags before this meeting. Everything, my paper bags are all 100% post-recycled material. That's really not a big deal. But with this, there are some cup issues. There's portion cup issues that we're just being asked to buy things that distributors don't have, and I think that's really what it comes down to. I don't think there's anybody here that if there was a requirement made on us that was something that was totally feasible, I think we'd all say, yeah, you know what, that's available. That makes sense. But we're being asked that now, don't want to, sound doom and gloom, but there's a lot of things going. This is not an easy time for restaurants with inflation, with eggs coming out of the pandemic, and I'm sitting here looking at this. Do I have the time to engage all my distributors, ask them to bring in products for my restaurant only that they don't stock, that nobody else wants? Expect it to be cost effective and implemented I want this to be successful, and we want to be sustainable, but I just don't know if this is going to do it. I think this is going to create more distrust for the business community in the city, which already exists, which I know is not your department, between outdoor dining and parklet. There's not a lot of goodwill with the city staff and restaurants right now. And now we have this demand of stocking and using things that may or may not even be available to us. It's just another hit.
Yeah, I hear you. It's definitely not easy on so many levels. A lot of, this is a huge effort from a lot of, different people and entities, and unfortunately plastic is a huge issue right now. And I think that it's trying to figure out how we're going to tackle this problem. And so I hear you. It's not easy. And I think we have been talking to the hauler, and, not just us, but other efforts, and the end user being the compost facility. It is definitely hard that they're not accepting the compostable plastics and such. And that is also a conversation. There's lots of conversations happening around this. I wish I had all the solutions, and I wish things could go faster. And so there are a lot of people making concessions, and we're all figuring this out together. So I definitely understand and hear where you're coming from, that this is hard. It is hard. And I want to say thank you to everyone on here for giving your feedback and working through this. So I hear you, and I appreciate you. And we're definitely trying to keep it easy, and do what we can with the capacity we have as well.
I think it would be helpful to have, some follow-up discussion to really address some of the specifics where people are having, pain points and difficulties with products, so that we can, try to come to some sort of solution, whether it's exemption, et cetera, for some of the products, or figure out, who can be working on behalf of restaurants to, so that suppliers can provide these materials if they're going to be required by the city. So if we could do some sort of follow-up, I think that would be really helpful. Any other last questions or comments from anyone?
Yeah, I'll throw one out there. Tanya, you're not aware that how amazing Kim is when COVID hit, she put all of the restaurant owners in a group to be able to communicate with them. And I'm really sorry that, I know you must feel heartbroken that we're all picking on you. You've got a job to do and you're trying your best to do it. The chamber would have been a wonderful source for discussion. It's unfortunate discussion is having after the fact. I think it'd be really helpful because Kim does disseminate this to all of the restaurant owners. If you would share with her what things the city of Los Altos has exceeded state law on. If there are anything that the city is doing that is beyond being required by the state, I think that's one of the first places we start. And then I do agree with her about bringing the restaurateurs together, Kim, in some additional format, because it's not that we don't want this. We just want to know how we can implement it and make it make sense and still stay open and not lose restaurants. Things like this.
I appreciate that, Abby, and thank you for your support. I do think it's really important to mention that is that on the spectrum of restaurateurs and their green and sustainable sorts of practices, we really do have overall a very progressive progressive community in that regard. Businesses that have been using recyclable products for a significant amount of time and really do understand the importance of that. So I do want to reiterate that. I think it's just, the implementation of some of these things practically. And, if there's some way that we can work on that together, I think that would be helpful. Happy to host another follow-up session for restaurateurs with you, Tanya, and anyone else from the city. There's something that we can do in that regard.
Yeah. I was just going to say, Armadillo Willie's, we have a location in San Mateo, so we moved all of our restaurants over to this. I would think it's been almost 2 years now, and we were visited by the city, by Tanya's group already earlier. Well, I guess early last year. So if anyone has any questions on finding vendors, or I know Lars is gone, but about the smaller containers for, cold and hot things, soup and everything. I think I mean, Tanya, I'm not going to brag, but I'm going to say we got like an A+, right? So if, and that was a big thing for me at the end of 23, 24. So I do have vendors. I do have pricing for everything. I do know where you can go where, you don't have to go, because we're not using our, what is that? Performance or Cisco. We have completely different vendors for all of our paper products. And I think I've negotiated some decent rates. So if anybody wants to contact me on that or whatever, I'm happy to talk to you about it.
If we can follow up on that too, Jennifer, and then or in our group chat, we could share a link to that kind of information. That would be really helpful. And Norma, I see your hand.
Can you share that information for the suppliers? I mean, is that possible? For Armadillo? Could you do that? I mean, we don't mind doing that. I think it's a great idea. My dog's making a noise, sorry. But we just need to know where we buy it.
Yep.
But I mean, we still have to buy things for to go, and we have a lot of food for to go. We don't mind, if it's changing. We just need to know where to buy it.
Yeah, babe.
If you could share that, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. I appreciate that feedback. And Norma, I just added the document with all this, products in there. There's different suppliers. I put the link in the chat, and that's also on the website.
Great. I'll leave that open for a little bit too. So in case anyone needs to go to the chat and grab something after I close up here, I'll keep that open for a little bit. I did want to mention just a couple of quick announcements before we close. Insperity, one of our newer chamber members here, is hosting a networking event with the chamber on February 27th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Peruvian restaurant Callao, which is on First Street. So we'd love to see you there. Insperity is really kind of an HR sort of service provider. So complete boutique service for HR and benefits provisions. So love to see you at that event on February 27th. And then State of the Cities is scheduled for April 25th. So please save that date on your calendar. We are about ready to go live for registration for that as well. We're just confirming our contract with Fremont Hills Country Club. And so we will we'll be making you aware of that through email and social media here shortly. And I think that's all I have. I really appreciate your taking the time to join us this morning to offer your feedback and ask questions. Thank you so much, Tania, for coming to present to the chamber, and appreciate your willingness to partner with everyone so that we can work through these things together. We all do really have the same goal in mind, which is to be more sustainable, but also to create a vibrant economy here for our businesses, and to make it a successful community all around in that regard. So we want to be green, and we want to be successful as well. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you, if Anthony's still on here as well, for all that you do. And thanks to each of you for joining this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thanks, everyone. Looking forward to discussing more, and we'll get through all this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.